There's something timeless, almost sacred, about the soft flicker of candlelight. It quiets a room. It changes the mood. It invites reflection, calm, intimacy. And when that light is resting atop something handcrafted from raw, earthy wood, something weathered, something worn, something rustic, it becomes more than just a candle. It becomes a story. A story of the forest, of the tree, of the hands that shaped it. That's the quiet magic of rustic wooden candle holders. These aren't store-bought accessories. They're not mass-produced decor. They're pieces of nature, shaped, smoothed, maybe a little sanded, but still holding on to the textures and imperfections that make wood what it is. Every grain, every knot, every crack is part of the story. And when you bring that into your home, set it on a shelf, a dinner table, or a nightstand, it doesn't just hold a candle. It holds atmosphere, warmth, memory. The beauty of a rustic wooden candle holder lies in its imperfections. The way bark still clings to the edge. The way a crack curves through the surface like a quiet scar. The way the grain moves, slow and steady, across the face of the wood. It's not polished. It's not glossy. It doesn't need to be. Because what it offers is deeper than decoration. It's authenticity. You might start with a fallen branch, just something you find on a walk through the woods. Something smooth or maybe even a little rough. Cut it into sections. Sand the top flat. Drill a hole, just wide and deep enough to fit a tea light or a taper candle. And suddenly what was once discarded, forgotten would become something beautiful. Something useful. Something alive again. Or maybe you've got an old beam, salvaged from a barn, with nail holes and years of weathering already written into its surface. That can become a centerpiece, one long rectangular holder with 5, 6, or even more candles resting along its top. The weight of it, the history. It all sits there quietly while the flames dance. There's also the option of mixing woods. Taking reclaimed pieces, maple, walnut, pine, oak, each with their own color and grain, and combining them into something layered, stacked, interesting. You don't need precision. You need presence. Let the edges be irregular. Let the colors contrast. Let the wood speak. Some rustic candle holders are carved from single logs. The bark left intact, the top hollowed just enough. Others are little stumps, cut straight through and left raw on all sides, except for the single indentation on top that holds the candle. And when the wax drips, when the flame flickers, it's like time slowing down. You're reminded of the outdoors, the trees, the earth, and that's part of the charm. Rustic wooden candle holders are deeply connected to nature. They don't try to hide their roots. They celebrate them. Even when you make them by hand, even when you sand the edges or add a little finish, the soul of the wood remains. It doesn't get lost. It stays present, grounded. And the making process, it's beautifully simple. You don't need a full workshop, a saw, a drill, some sandpaper. That's it. You don't need plans or templates. Just a sense of curiosity and a willingness to experiment. Maybe you try different heights, cutting one branch into 3 or 4 pieces of varying lengths so they cluster like a little wooden skyline. Or maybe you cut slices, thin rounds like coasters, and stack them, gluing them into little totems with a candle atop. And if you want to go deeper, you can experiment with finishes. Leave it raw and natural. Add a bit of beeswax for a soft sheen. Or a hint of oil, walnut oil, linseed, something that darkens the grain and brings out the textures. Maybe you burn the wood a little, using the Japanese technique of shosugi ban, charring the surface for a dramatic blackened look that still reveals the grain underneath. Or maybe you wrap a bit of twine or copper wire around the base. Add a little touch of leather. A small detail that makes it yours. The truth is, no 2 rustic wooden candle holders are ever the same. Even if you try to repeat one, the wood changes everything. Its shape, its density, the way it cuts, the way it sands, the way it feels in your hands. Each piece has a personality. And you don't fight it, you work with it. And once you start seeing possibilities everywhere. That piece of driftwood on the shore? That can hold a votive. That log you cut down last fall? It's got 3 good sections in it. That beam sitting in the garage? It's begging to be reborn. The more you make, the more your eye sharpens. You start noticing wood not for its flaws, but for its potential. Rustic wooden candle holders also make some of the most heartfelt, humble gifts. They're personal. They're warm. They're one of a kind. Whether it's a holiday, a housewarming, a wedding, or just a quiet offering to a friend, there's something deeply meaningful about giving something you made with your hands. Something that doesn't scream for attention but still holds presence. People feel that. They feel the care, the time, the touch. And in the home, their role is quiet but powerful. Set along a mantel, they create rhythm. Set on a dining table, they bring intimacy. On a bathroom shelf, they add warmth. On a bedside table, a little ritual. Light the candle, slow down, breathe. Let the flame flicker across the grain of the wood. Let it glow. There's also a kind of timelessness to them. Wood and fire. Two of the oldest materials known to humankind. Together in harmony. Simple. Honest. You don't need trends. You don't need styles. Because this is beyond fashion. This is about grounding. About returning to something basic. Elemental. And that's what makes rustic wooden candle holders so powerful. Not just how they look, but how they feel. How they connect. How they last. A good one can live for years, passed from room to room, house to house, moment to moment. And every time the candle is lit, the wood remembers. It holds the memory in its grain. So if you've never made one, maybe now's the time. Pick up a piece of wood. Run your hand along it. See what shape it wants to be. Is it a small votive holder? A log centerpiece? A slender taper column? Let the wood guide you. Let it teach you. Because when you work with wood, especially wood that's rough, reclaimed, natural, you start to slow down. You begin to notice the little things. The smell of fresh cut grain. The way light catches the surface. The weight in your hand. You start to appreciate how even the smallest piece can hold beauty. And then, when it's finished, when you set it on a table and light that first candle, it all comes together. The wood, the fire, the moment. A quiet collaboration between nature, hand, and flame. And that's the kind of beauty that never goes out of style. Rustic wooden candle holders are more than just home accessories. They're small vessels of warmth, comfort, and timeless charm. They hold more than just candles. They hold atmosphere. They anchor a room with quiet beauty. And in their natural, imperfect forms, they remind us of something essential, that true style doesn't need to shout. Sometimes it just needs to glow. At the core of rustic wooden candle holders is authenticity. These aren't polished, mass-produced items trying to fit into a trend. They're raw, grounded, and textured. Whether made from driftwood, reclaimed timber, branches, or solid chunks of carved wood, each holder carries the marks of time. The grain, the knots, the cracks, they're not flaws. They're features. They tell stories. They bring character to a space in a way that no synthetic material ever could. There's something undeniably special about the way wood and fire interact. The grain glows a little warmer in candlelight. The flicker of the flame dances across uneven textures, casting shadows that feel alive. It's a quiet moment of harmony between nature and design. And when you choose rustic wood, you're inviting that organic relationship into your space. You're choosing something that feels human, handmade, heartfelt, and grounded. And the best part? Rustic wooden candle holders are incredibly versatile. They fit into so many different interiors. In a farmhouse-style kitchen, they feel right at home. In a modern, minimalist apartment, they add a layer of warmth and texture. In a boho living room, they enhance the earth-toned, laid-back vibe. They can be rough-hewn or sanded smooth, tall or squat, single-stem or multi-tiered. There's no right or wrong, just personality. They're also perfect projects for anyone looking to dip into DIY woodworking. Even with basic tools and reclaimed scraps, you can create candle holders that feel intentional and artful. Drill a few holes into a beam of old barn wood. Cut cross-sections of a tree branch and burn the edges. Add a little oil or beeswax, or leave the wood raw for a more primitive look. You don't need perfection, you need presence. That's what rustic design is all about. And when used in your home, these pieces don't just sit on a shelf. They become part of the atmosphere. They're centerpieces on dining tables, accents on mantels, glowing companions during quiet nights or festive gatherings. They're not just about light, they're about mood. and they bring a sense of calm that only natural elements can offer. Rustic wooden candle holders also make meaningful gifts. Not just because they're beautiful but because they carry a sense of time and care. They're the kind of gift that says, "This was made with thought." Whether you buy them from a local artisan or craft them yourself, they speak of slowness, of craft, of choosing materials that matter. So in the end, rustic wooden candle holders do more than hold wax and flame. They hold space. They hold memory. They bring warmth, literal and emotional, into your home. In a world that often leans toward the digital and disposable, they're a reminder of the enduring beauty of the natural and the handmade. They don't demand attention but they earn it. Quietly. Consistently. Through texture. Through presence. Through the simple act of being real. And that's the heart of rustic wood design. It's not perfect but it's honest. Not polished but powerful. And in the soft glow of a single candle, it becomes something more than decor. It becomes a feeling.